One thing I did bring is some extra safety measures to make sure, try and help ensure we don't get hypoglycemic or anything like that if anybody's interest. Oh, and for,
I have to clean it.
since we're at the office, had to add a little ambiance. Brought a couple antlers for my desk.
Nice.
Yeah, so the reason for this recording is essentially about a week ago, maybe even a couple weeks ago now. I just recorded a video in the living room really quick of deer season's done now, you know, and as far as our camp videos and that, I'm not sure what really we could produce until turkey season comes along. So we get a fair amount of questions in the comments, and so I invited the followers to go ahead and just submit some questions, and that if we got enough of them, I'd try and get more of us together to respond to them. And I thought it was pretty cool because we got, I don't know, maybe 65, 70 questions. First one, a person on YouTube by the name of Camp Benny, might have heard of them.
I never heard of them.
Which really came from a question that I've received quite a bit over the years, which is, why do you guys whisper in camp on some of the videos? Is there anybody that would like to handle that question? We'll try and keep our question and answer to about a minute apiece if we can.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Good?
Yeah, we don't try to talk too loud and can't make too much noise, just to not disturb the wildlife near camp, and people are hunting relatively close to camp. I can remember a few times waking up in the morning and seeing a doe like right outside the cabin, so it's pretty cool to just see that and not disturb what they're normally doing. So
Right on. It's yet to happen yet, but I'm sure one of these years somebody's gonna open up the door of the trailer and walk out and just blast one of those does. Yep.
Well,
Also, it goes beyond that too. We close doors quietly for the vehicles and other stuff too. So it's more than just whispering. It's any kind of loud noise. We try to keep it to a minimum.
Yeah. So we generally get up to camp a couple days before the firearm opener. We try to make any noise we're gonna make at that point. You know, get all the stands set, get all our scouting out of the way. And then we just try and get out of there. We really don't hang out even at camp much before the opener. We're looking for local gun shops to visit, things like that. Scout new public land pieces for future stand locations. Just have a really good time of camaraderie together, get our grocery shopping done, that kind of thing. Gearing up for that wonderful opening morning. J&J True Outdoor Adventures. Hey Benny, great idea. I don't know if I have any questions I would like to ask, but I have a suggestion. You could do videos, even if other channels have done them, on gear you use, give the pros and cons of the gear. I saw on those tail feathers on the wall, deer mount and look like a bear mount. If you didn't capture those on video, maybe do like I did on my channel, memories of hunts of the past, where I talk about those hunts. Those hunts happened before we got into videoing, of course. I kept a journal, but I wanted to share those experiences with the audience. The sky's the limit when you're looking at what you want to do. Good luck to you, my friend, and we'll be looking forward to your upcoming videos, Juddy. Thank you, Juddy, for that comment. Most of those mounts that you see, I do have on video, but a future video, perhaps I could go around and maybe speak to each of them. And there definitely are a few there that I don't have on video. Thanks for the comment. Let's see, Backcountry Pipe. Great to see a new video and cool idea. I have two questions. What is your favorite deer rifle, caliber, brand, etc.? And point two, have you ever thought about selling hats or any type of merchandise? I'll take point two. As far as the merchandise, yes, I actually defined a whole storefront of hats and shirts and hoodies and stickers and coffee mugs and all those kinds of things. I'm not quite convinced I want to release that yet. I get a fair amount of people that want Camp Benny gear. I'm just not sure it's enough that it merits, you know, putting out all the effort for that. But I would love feedback from you folks, because if I do see a little bit more interest there, I think we definitely would make that step. Great question, Mark. Thank you. Who wants to speak to their favorite deer rifle? Caliber.
I mean, I did recently purchase a 450 Bushmaster, so pretty excited to, well, super excited to use that, and hopefully get one this year with it. So pretty cool. It has a Vortex scope with it, which they have a, I believe, lifetime warranty on it. So whatever happens to it, if it gets run over by a car somehow, they'll usually just ship you one without questions asked. So that's kind of cool for a starter's gun. So yeah,
Right on.
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I really like the 270 caliber because it's a really straight shooting caliber. I think even in the past when I've been off on distances, I was still able to hit the deer. So yeah, it's a really flat shooting caliber.
Right on. What manufacturer is your gun?
Mine's a Savage.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
How many years have you owned that?
I think I bought it in '06, so it's been a while.
And that's the first new deer rifle you've ever purchased, right? That was the first one?
Yeah.
And Ben, yours that you bought this year, that was the first rifle you've ever bought?
Yep.
New? Luke?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 450 Bushmaster. Bought one a couple years ago. I haven't killed anything with it, but I like the fact that I could hunt anywhere in Michigan with it, and there's no regulations.
You got a '06 in your arsenal as well, don't you?
Yeah, that's actually my dad's. I really enjoyed shooting that too. That was good. I would like to get a caliber that I own personally in that soon, but we'll see.
Yeah. What's so special about that 30s? Ooh, 30-06.
It was actually my grandpa's, Nick and I's grandpa. So it's pretty cool. Got passed down. He used to use hunting, so it's cool to get to use that.
Right on. So, Ben Jr. is obviously my son. How do you guys fall into deer camp?
He's my little brother.
Big little brother.
Yeah.
And these two are my nephews. So my oldest brother Mike, these guys here are his sons. Maddie S. Asked the question, good to see another video, Benny. How long have you owned your camp and property? And do you have many wolves around your area? So I bought my deer camp in 2001. And yes, we have many wolves around our area. And they're a big pain in the neck. And so I was not real happy to learn yesterday that the federal courts went ahead and is pursuing overturning the laws as far as letting the wolves be managed at the state level. Very, very disappointing. Great question, Maddie. Thank you. We will follow up a little bit more on deer camp and how it came about 21 years ago or whatever when I got it. Kind of an interesting story goes with that. Mark Pro, I love your idea, Ben. I have fired questions in the past and I'm sure more will pop into my head. Is your recovery continuing to get better in time? Hope so, bud. I myself have been trying to put together an ice fishing video. Do you ice fish or open water? I know a guy who is retiring next December and will have a lot of free time on his hands. Would you consider collaborating with another channel from Wisconsin? Take care, my friend. Thank you so much for the question, Mark. I would love to do something like that, especially with you. I've been watching your channel and following it. Lots of awesome videos. I can tell you're a good stand-up guy. Just our kind of guy to hang out with in camp. So very much appreciate that. I am feeling a lot better. Not quite 100%, but I'm getting there for sure. I actually, believe it or not, I've never ice fished. I don't know if you guys have. I have done plenty of open water fishing and continue to. But yeah, ice fishing actually is just something I've never pursued. I think if I told my wife I wanted to buy all the gear for it and start another hobby, she
might actually.
probably would support me, but I don't know if I would ask that of her.
I mean, she might be like, "Ooh, can I have some gear too?"
Okay, here's a question from Bob Fitch. I think Bob's out of New York. Get lots of great comments from Bob. Appreciate this. So Bob asked, "Hey Ben, I have one question. I noticed at your camp you run Coleman lanterns and a stove, I think. I run a quiet run generator for lights and small appliances and propane stove. You ever thought about one or solar?" Nick, maybe you could kind of speak to, our whole, goals in camp as far as the off-grid side of things, but the generator side and...
Yeah. I'm an Eagle Scout, and we have a lot of camping experiences that we try to take part of throughout the year. We've also done some kind of Concitus Men campouts that have been a lot of fun as some of us were growing up, and I only like to keep it rustic a little bit and kind of get away to the wilderness. It's kind of adventurous, and so I'd say that probably lends to us trying to be a little bit more rustic. Also, we're surrounded with technology all the time, typically day to day, and so to kind of get away from that, being in some low cell service areas and being out there, that's probably one reason we tend to be out where we're at. And at one point during the week, we typically will hook up a generator and have some fun with that, recharge all our batteries and turn the lights on. But to get away and be a little bit off the grid and running off the camp stove and turning, being a little bit outside of the norm is actually kind of more fun for us.
Yeah, there's a solar light in Bob, right? It works most of the time.
That's true.
Yeah, we have a solar light in the outhouse. That definitely comes in handy at times.
Oh yeah.
I would say from my perspective, I'm not anti having power in camp. I don't, to Luke's point earlier, as far as we have stands nearby and that, we do have a Honda generator. It's super quiet. It just is unnecessary noise that we need around camp at this point. I definitely see camp expanding in the future, and maybe I'll power there and maybe I won't. I do like the fact that we aren't dependent on it. We have a joke many years ago, the nearest town had lost power because a big storm had come through during the hunting season. We're like, oh no, what are we gonna do? We've lost power. Eric Lindblom, how about how you process your deer? Do you make your own sausage? Do you fish at all? Anything would be awesome. Thank you, Eric. I'm going to kick this back to Nick again because I know you do some deer processing yourself.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that whole experience?
Yeah. Since I've been camping with Ben and Chris for a number of years, they've kind of taught me how to process my deer and, obviously field dress it at camp. But now I do enjoy processing the deer myself at my house. I usually hang it up in my barn and invite my nephews over and, get them involved in the process. Sometimes it's a little more work than it's worth. They'll bring over their little pocket knives and stabbing into the deer, and they're helping, but not really helping. But it's a good time. Get them involved in the process, and we have a lot of fun. I made sausages this year. I mixed it with some pork, and that was delicious. We ate it within the first couple weeks. So that was an awesome win. I'll do that again in the future, as well as I just like to try new things.
Peppy Farms. Big Ben, how many miles from home to deer camp and how many hours between coffee and bathroom breaks does it take to get to camp approximately? Anybody want to take that one on?
I think it depends rather how ambitious we are or tired. Well, this year, since we were all on our deathbeds, it takes a while, but it's roughly about a 9-hour drive or 10-hour drive. And with the truck and hauling trailer, we can get up there in, I think, like 2 tanks, I believe. That's running on diesel, so not sure exactly on gas.
Yeah, the whole entire trip, probably 5 or 6 tanks of gas, depending on whether got the diesel or the gas. Either way, once we're pulling the trailer and all the gear, we're losing some serious fuel economy, but it's all good. It's not what we're going up for.
Drummond Island's pretty big though.
Yeah.
So-
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. You have to pay a toll to get there, but
Yeah, within your own state, huh?
yeah.
That's a whole nother video.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee breaks, we try and time them with the fuel stops, but that doesn't always work that way. But he's got those empty 2-liter bottles in the truck, worst case, that can fill up on the way.
It's actually quite annoying that restaurants with COVID are closed. It's harder to maybe go to places that you want for breakfast right now. It's a little frustrating actually, but
Yeah, for sure.
Because we gotta like park not in one spot, not in 2 spots, but like 4 spots. And then, yeah, doors are locked, so we can't really run through McDonald's or like any fast food like that. So, gotta really plan out our meals ahead of time. Maybe like a sandwich we'll make real quick.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Whitetail Warriors Deer Camp. This YouTube channel is run by my buddy Dan. He hunts up in the UP, I think up in Curtis, Michigan area. Dan's an awesome guy. I would definitely highly recommend that you check out his channel. He just started that up this past year. It's got some great content. Dan asked, "Hey Ben, wondering why you don't close up your big blind on the power line to try and keep the weather out while you're hunting?" And that is a good question, Dan. That's something that I've asked myself quite a bit over the years. It is an absolute wind tunnel in that blind. We can literally be walking through the woods and you can hear like the noise of that wind whipping through the power lines up ahead before you get to it. It's just this sound. It's intense. Seems like there's always a minimum of a 20+ mile an hour wind gust coming through there. But anyways, it's something that I'll probably have to maybe consider long term. I've been resisting it. I really like that open feel. I really don't like that the blind's enclosed, except for the very rainy and nasty storm days. Being of that, I'm starting to get to the point that I'm surprised it's still standing when I'm approaching it. So I'm kind of waiting to do a new build, and when I do, I think I would build it about half the size that it is and probably enclose it the rest of the way. That would be nice, but internally it's just I feel like I'm waving the white flag a little bit by doing that. We do try and sit on stand all day. Nick is a big time trooper on that, sitting in that metal ladder stand sun up to sun down. Kudos to him. That's getting tougher and tougher for me to do that kind of thing. As far as up at camp, I do it back home quite a bit. I'm kind of a habit of mine, so it doesn't even feel like it's that tough really. But up at camp, it's that north woods there. That'll humble you for sure. Stud 32479, aka Jared, asks, video series progress on building the new cabin that you must build with a smiley face. So yeah, I've been putting it out there. I'm really been kicking around the idea of building a cabin at camp. I guess, I have the money set aside to pull the trigger and do that. Things I got rolling around my brain, especially with this whole overturning of the protecting the wolves and things like that. I'm seriously considering building a new camp, maybe even elsewhere. I don't know where that'll land, but camp is full right now. And I can see a future of more guys coming into camp right now, that I really gotta think this all through. I really want to be able to accommodate 10 hunters comfortably, and so that's kind of my target right now. And so I'm not sure what I'll do yet, but when I do make that decision, we'll be sure to capture it on video and share it with everybody. Michael Harlow asks, what are some of your necessities for a deer camp you cannot do without?
A bob for sure.
What's a bob?
The latrine at camp that we have. It's pretty nifty.
Coffee.
Coffee.
Coffee's a good one.
I'm not a coffee drinker, but I know what these guys are like without it, and it's not too fun.
True.
Wood in the wood stove. Sometimes after sitting out all day, you kind of want to just go back and crawl inside it and warm up. But
The third log, too. You're really brave.
The CPAP machines have fixed our lives considerably too.
Yeah, a lot less snoring in camp, right?
Brody's been pretty nice at hauling our deer too for us lately and helping us put it up onto the buck pole. So I shouldn't go without a Brody nowadays.
oh yeah, or the ranger.
Yeah, the Ranger.
Oh,
yeah.
SOB with
That's
the tree
nice.
stand.
It's a camp MVP right there.
Exactly.
Oh, and having a gun that actually has bullets.
That helps, doesn't it? I'll tell you, a necessity for camp is other people. Because I would not want to be at deer camp alone. I've tried that before, it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
So just to have some buddies along, that's a necessity for camp for me. Beyond that, you don't have to own a piece of property, you don't have to have a cabin. You could put an air mattress in a bed of a pickup and go hunt state land for a weekend or whatever, and bring your little cook stove or whatever, and just get out of the normal grind of things. Spring fling bow fishing. I have two questions. First, how come you don't use the generator at night? And second, where was the son-in-law this year at camp? Why don't we start with the son-in-law this year at camp? Luke, you weren't at camp this year either.
No.
I think it's probably for the same reason.
Yeah, Brian just had his firstborn son, which is pretty cool. Waylon Benjamin. Pretty awesome. And I also had my first daughter, so we've been kind of tackling that together.
Yeah, so newborn babies, limited time off work, and supporting your wives, and loving your newborn babies.
That's right.
You'll be back this year?
Oh, for sure.
You heard that.
Yeah,
All
we're gonna
right.
hold you to it.
I have, let's see, no, I already said that. As far as you don't use the generator at night, we kind of spoke to that a bit, but anything more you guys might want to emphasize?
Really, we only use it once, and that's usually after we are on the very last night of hunting. After we got everything, we just kick it on. We call it happy hour, and then yeah. But we don't usually run it at night because, again, we are hunting pretty close to a trailer like some of us, so we don't want to cause a disturbance, and usually we leave a few days for everything to just die down and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool here in the coyotes go crazy at night.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, even though we pray that they all die that night. Okay, Brandon asks, do you have plans on building a camp? We have a camp on the western end of the UP. Great question, Brandon. I got asked that one a lot. And again, in regards to the whole camp building thing, I'm just undecided at this point whether I'm going to build something where camp exists currently, or if I'm going to invest and maybe pivot to another property. So I'm really undecided, but we'll definitely capture that story along the way. We've just kind of outgrown the existing camp. Steve Denoyer, what does that deer poop really taste like? LOL. I like your idea about asking questions. So this is hilarious. So this goes back to a video we did several years ago. We had just recorded a quick little segment where we were doing some scouting behind camp, and we came across some deer poop or chocolate covered raisins perhaps, and devoured them on film. So I definitely am not advocating for actually eating deer poop.
I mean, you can try it if you really want to know, but
Yeah.
we aren't going to stop you.
Jerry asked, Benny, what about a round table answering questions with the gang from Camp Benny, your friend Jerry Pate, Michigan? So that's great, Jerry. Unfortunately, my brother Chris and his son Brody couldn't join us today. My son-in-law Brian as well, all wanted to be here. I didn't give them but maybe less than 24 hours notice, so that's on me. I think in the future it would be cool for all of us to get together and do another video segment, so we might look at doing that.
Maybe a part 2 of this.
Yeah, if we get good enough feedback from this, then maybe we'll do that. Huh? Bill Mullins, why don't you close up the windows in your deer blind or make smaller? Seems like the camp name should be more outdoorsy. So I think we addressed the deer blind question already. In regards to the camp name, I feel like the camp name's been around for a good 20 years now, so it's a little late to be changing it for me. But the initial why behind it, I may do another video segment on this, but it really stems back to when I was a kid and I was part of other deer camps. I enjoyed them. I learned so much from the older generation. And in fact, the first deer I ever got wasn't at a deer camp, but I credit my success in that to have been in different deer camps. I just learned so much. But one thing I also learned is it was time for me to branch out and start my own camp. And what I loved about some of the previous camps I had gone to is that I saw the older generation was the host in particular owned this camp and really kind of got into everybody's business in a positive aspect. Kind of want to know what our goals were for the season and kind of helped see those things through or to come together, and got a lot of joy of being a part of it. And I really liked that aspect. That's something that I desired. So I guess the Camp Benny, some people think I named it after my son or after my own name, and it's not about that at all. It's a vision for seeing myself someday. Perhaps I'll be too old, maybe. I don't know about that. I'm not looking to wave that flag anytime too soon. But have it be more about the people at camp and our camaraderie together and what we're there for. To see those things come together is what I value. David Jelinek asks, I'm game for a live video. Have you ever shot a deer with a 300 Win Mag? I've shot a lot of deer with a 300 Win Mag. I'm not sure how many though. Quite a few of them are on the channel though.
Yeah. It does the job for sure.
Yeah,
300 Win Mag.
it does. Very effective.
Oh, yeah.
7 Mag 1959 says, I got one. Upload a video containing outtakes. I'm sure you guys have plenty. So it's not necessarily a question, but he's speaking to, you know, things that he'd like to see in the future. And that's something that I know I could do better. I even think about that through the season as something goes wrong, you know, while I'm self-filming or whatever, and think, well, that'd be pretty funny later to show. I gotta figure out a way to mark that stuff because I forget about it later, and yeah. Todd Phillips. My question is, do you feel the same way I do as far as taking a newbie hunter or a youth hunter in the fact that I get the same gratification of watching the harvest a deer versus me pulling the trigger? For me, it is more gratifying watching them do it than myself at this point in my life. Granted, I'm not that old, at least in my mind, 50s, but my adrenaline high has been more so enjoying others harvest a deer. Don't get me wrong, I still love hunting, but sharing with others is a high I can't ignore. I want more, do you? And I couldn't agree more, Todd. I've been with all 3 of these guys when they got their first deer. I was physically sitting with these 2, and I've sat many times with Nick, but when it came together, you know, his first deer was at camp. I would imagine that both Ben and Luke could speak to the fact that when they shot their first deer and they looked at me, I was shaking. And I wasn't even the one shooting the deer.
I thought you were gonna fall off the tree stand.
So yeah, there's a little bit of passion running through these veins for that kind of stuff, and I'm sure that these guys will repeat that with their own kids in the future, and so that's an incredible blessing to me, because I'll still feel like I'm a part of it even if I'm not physically there.
Genuine too. It's not just because the camera's on. It's a genuine. He's shaking like, can't believe this just happened.
Yeah, you guys are telling me to calm down, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Ben's been pretty heavily invested in all of our lives and more when it comes to hunting, and always shows dedication and doing whatever it takes to get that kill. So we appreciate him.
For sure.
Stop. So Mason Adamski, in one of the UP deer camp videos, it was mentioned that your brother Chris hunted a few miles away from you, but never hunted at your deer camp. I am wondering why. Maybe I misunderstood what was said in the video, but I've been curious of that topic since following your channel years ago. Can't wait for the upcoming vids. Emoji. Great question, Mason. Nick, I bet you know the answer to this.
Yeah, Chris came up with his in-laws for a lot of years, and it was an official lease or rented land nearby that the gentlemen they stayed with had, and so they hunted there for quite a few years.
Yeah, right on. So it eventually evolved to the lease that they had. For most of the years, they actually hunted public land. Several miles up the road from where camp is. I actually bought my property from Chris's father-in-law.
Yeah.
He had bought it, I think, through a tax sale or something like that. I don't think he had ever hunted it, maybe bird hunted it or something along those nature, but not for deer. But I was definitely seeking out a chunk of land to start a camp on. And so there was no trailer on it or gates or blinds or anything. It was just a chunk of land. And so Chris and I drove up there once when his father-in-law expressed interest in selling the property. Saw, a fair amount of deer sign and that, and it was affordable. So I was interested. Yeah, great question. So since then, you'll notice that Chris is in camp all the time. And that's because his in-laws don't hunt up there anymore. I think with the winters of 13, 14, 15, and the wolf, the whole dynamic with that has just been a major discouragement. And so, yeah. But even back in those years, Chris, he would hunt the first few days with his in-laws, and then he would come over to camp. He always finished it out.
Yeah.
Yep. AM, do you upland and or duck hunt in the fall? Do you ever film those hunts? I'd love to link up for a bird hunt sometime. That is something I haven't done hardly any of. I've done some pheasant hunting. I've never hunted for geese or duck in my entire life. Again, it's one of those things, I've had opportunities to get into it, but just kind of for my wife's sake, for as sick as I am for deer hunting, I think it's fair to her that I don't get. I'm kind of an all-in kind of person. I don't do a halfway very well. So I'm either in or I'm out. But if somebody wants to invite me along to join you, I would be incredibly grateful. I think it would be a great time and a lot of fun, and would want to do my part to make that be a successful day. Great question. So Dan Blanchard says, watching you guys, you all have a sense of humor. You should make a bloopers show that you cut. So yeah, there's a common theme there. We certainly have plenty of them throughout the season. Plenty of opportunity for that. We just got to get better at marking those points.
Yeah, sometimes the humor is not always for the right time, though, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, we're usually hunting pretty intensely at the time, so it's like back of our mind, right?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're a little too intense with it.
I think one of my favorite additions we've made to camp over the years is the lean-to to cover out, have an outside cover area at camp. That's been awesome. It's almost pulled down camp actually on the negative side, but it's actually been a really awesome addition.
Yeah, I gotta admit, it is pretty nice. Like when it's raining, like when we're up there on a work weekend and it's raining, you can just hear that on the lean-to and you just are out there. Instead of cooped up in a trailer the whole time.
Yep. Greg Underhood says, I'd like to see some gear reviews. I know after the holidays is when I spend a lot of time thinking of what gear worked well, what didn't, and I make a list of things to buy. I've got quite a few questions here regarding the gear that we use, what we like. What is a particular gear maybe that you guys have picked up in recent years at camp or whatever that you highly value or you think is a necessity?
Woolies.
Woolies?
Yeah. If you just some sort of wool, that really helps when you're up north because it helps block that wind that's coming in, and then actually learning how to layer up properly instead of what I used to do. I used to just throw on coats until it came to me like I need to actually learn how to layer up.
Yeah.
And that's a very crucial thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're gonna be walking out like, I can't move my arms to shoot my gun, or I can't move my arms to shoot with a bow. So, you don't want to dress too light, you don't want to dress too heavy. And always look at the weather ahead of time, and is it gonna rain, is it gonna snow? Just kind of prepare for that. So.
Right on. You bought one of those hand muffs?
Oh yeah, those
Those are nice.
are really good, especially if you put hand warmers in them.
Mm-hmm.
So then, because I used to always wear like snow gloves, and I was like, I can't fit my finger on the trigger, so just have like really thin gloves, and then I have hand warmers in there, and seems to do a trick for me. So
Yeah, right on. I enjoy different calibers of guns, rifles, shotguns, handguns, bows, spears. I don't care what it is. I think it's all incredibly awesome, and I would love to own every single one of them. But at the end of the day, I want to use the gun or bow or whatever I'm using to take that game that's like an extension of my arm, that I shoot very well and proficiently, ideally. I want to know that when I'm aiming at it, I'm going to hit this. Beyond that, yes, it's about hitting them in the vitals. And I've had videos I put up where we've shot deer with the AR-15, 223 or 5.56 NATO, 22-250, 55 grain bullet. It is a very small bullet. And I've had people come at me saying that it's not ethical. Well, I wouldn't want to be hit by that.
I don't think anybody does.
It definitely does the job. Now, it's not ideal for certain applications if you're hunting, in thickets, things like that. A light bullet is not the ideal bullet for that situation. Yeah. Nick?
I think warm clothes is a big one up at camp, but past years I bought some binoculars, and that's also probably going to be a game changer for me.
Yeah. Or when you're filming a deer and you don't even realize it. That's right there. Happens to the best of us.
Could I share a little bit on that? Okay. So, just to extra emphasize where Nick's coming from on that. So we had, I'm sure it was 2 seasons, might have been a third, but so we got through our week of deer camp, and we got whatever deer that we got, and we're on our way home from camp, and then the guys generally will give me their footage, their SD cards, and I'll sift through it and make a Camp Benny video for everybody. Well, Nick, he had his combo license on a couple of these seasons, and because it's the UP, those are restricted tags, so he needs something that has at least 3 on a side. And I recall him sharing with me before he had given me the footage about, we share every day what we saw when we were in the woods. And he kept seeing bucks that didn't meet the criteria that he needed to put a tag on it. And, in his defense, there might even been some that he saw that did, but they weren't, he wanted something a little larger or whatever. But, so I'm reviewing his footage, and I'm, out of 50 clips, this is like the first clip I've grabbed. So it's not like I'm sifting through it much. And right away I see this 7-point, and then I see this 8. And so I send Nick a text, like, I thought you said, you didn't see anything with, say, 4 on a side or whatever. He's like, I didn't. Like, look at this clip at this time. And he's just, oh. Anyways, that definitely drove the increased interest on the getting a good set of optics.
Or we go, hey Nick, how many points do I have?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
We still do that to this day.
Yeah. Anything you want to speak to as far as gear?
No, I think Nick has like 7 different foot warmers and electric hand holders that are pretty sweet. I'll have to get me some of those.
And he brings them all up to deer camp too.
Yeah, you got those rechargeable soul heater deals from Thermacell, right?
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on those? Now, you've been using them for quite a few years. Still, would you recommend that, or?
Yeah, I would. They probably lost most of their impact after I think now 5 years or so, but they're good for a little bit. They're good to maybe inch along for a few hours. So yeah, if I can sit out all day, I feel like I have a lot more opportunities, seeing more deer, and so anything you can do to stay out a little bit longer is helpful. And those definitely do that. So. Yep.
Right on. Greg Miljavec says, what about cooking videos, Benny? Seems like you harvest a fair amount of game, and I'd be interested in learning how others prepare their bounty. Just a FYI, I have a camp on the western end of the UP. Great point, Greg. I'll be honest, I've made, I think, no cooking videos at this point. You can see, some of what we make up at deer camp. I just didn't think anybody would be interested in anything like that, but my brother Chris takes cooking to a unbelievable level. I'd put him against anybody watching this video right now as far as making food amazing. I do plenty of cooking of wild game and I can make it decent, but Uncle Chris,
Oh yeah.
he can take it to a whole new level. One question I get a fair amount of is, so there's guys that used to be part of a camp, but they no longer are, and they enjoy watching the Camp Benny videos, but they want to almost have like a stake in it or feel like they're more a part of Camp Benny, and they kind of wonder, is there a way they can support camp? And so I used to just decline that, just say, just enjoy it. Don't worry about it. Thank you, appreciate the support. But I did create a support type venue, which uses Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/Camp Benny, there's 3 tiers where you can give, basically. What that'll do is we'll take that and we'll use it for gas to get to and from camp, oil for the lamps, when we got to replace the wood burner, redo the outhouse, redo the cabin, all those kinds of things to just camp upkeep.
Bullets for Nick,
Right. Even upgrading the camera gear that we're using so we can make better videos. Anyways, the Camp Benny videos are free, but that is a way, if you feel that you do want to contribute in some way, that's a great way to do it. One of the tiers, I think after 3 months, it'll even send you a coffee mug with the Camp Benny branding on it, which I was actually pretty jealous of, because one of our supporters the other day had gotten his coffee mug, and I'm like, I don't even have one of those coffee mugs. That's awesome.
know that.
I don't even know what it looks like.
No, you will have one probably before he gets one.
You would.
That's a
You would.
good deal. I'd say.
Yeah.
You can post it and
Bragging
be
rights.
like, yeah, I got your mug.
Yeah. So I like to take pride in, we support ourselves, but if anybody watching this, if you have that desire, there's a venue where that can be done, and we appreciate it very much. So Krabby Bill says, keep them coming. Talk about why you do what you do while hunting and the preparation. So we got quite a few questions revolving around food plot management, how we take care of the properties, all that preparation for hunting season. And we do have some of those out there, some of the food plots that we're doing up north and that, but I could see where we certainly could do a better job yet of capturing what we're doing in the off season and preparation for season. So great comment there, Krabby Bill, thank you. Mike Albow says, love your videos. I've started a camp in upstate New York. Been up there the last 2 seasons with 2 of my 4 sons. Got 2 deer from the camp this year. Love to see you and the gang. Thanks for sharing. Well, thank you for sharing, Mike. That's awesome that you started a camp and you got your sons involved. That's fantastic. It's good to see that. Ben, you're what, 19?
Yeah, almost 20.
Okay. What could you say maybe to viewers that have their children are, in your age demographic? As far as, I think there's a fair amount of people that feel that there's less interest. The whole deer camp tradition is declining for sure. How could you speak to that?
Well, yeah, I do notice it is declining, but it's an awesome experience to just unplug yourself from society pretty much, and just get out in God's creation and just be out in the wilderness, hang out with your buddies and your family. But I would really like to see it increase, but as technology evolves, it's like hard to unplug from that, but sometimes you gotta, it's just kind of refreshing. Being off grid, not always having electricity or always having Wi-Fi right there or anything like that, and getting off social media and just enjoying God's creation.
Right on. You hear a lot more people, I think, today dealing with anxiety and depression. Seems like spending time up at camp, especially if you have camaraderie of a good group of guys, girls, that could really kind of actually build each other up rather than tear each other down. I've said that in past videos. We definitely do our share of ribbing each other,
It's all out of love.
Yeah, but we know at the end of the day that we're, for each other and care about those things. But then what you just mentioned about enjoying God's creation, I can't find it right now. I'm surprised I'm struggling to locate it, but somebody had asked a question about that they would like to hear more about our faith and how that applies to the outdoors.
Oh, I'm going.
Does anybody want to speak to that?
Well, we do believe that all things come from God. All like glory and successes, and before meals we always pray. Like before a trip, we always pray like for safety, and it's just a good time and fellowship. But yeah, we are pretty strong in that, and we definitely do believe that all success is because of God.
Right on. Yeah, so we're recording this video at our office. Most of us in camp work together every day of the week. So not only are we getting along good at camp, but believe it or not, we're getting along well in the workplace. A lot of that credit we would give to the fact that we are believers and that we do have Jesus in our hearts, and that unifies us. So when we get up to camp, I'll speak for myself. When I get up to camp, I figure I work as hard as I can in the off season so that when it's deer season, I don't have to feel guilt being out there, because it wants to nag at me that I need to be in the office. I can do more, because we're definitely driven folks, right? But I need that time with the creator, and that's very difficult to get in the workplace. We do carve out time here and there for our devotions, stuff like that. That's our own personal disciplines in life. But spending time out in the woods alone for me, all those hours on stand, looking at those clouds, those sunrises, sunsets, all the animals, the wildlife, the trees, everything there that was created just brings me so much peace and refills me and refreshes me for the rest of the year.
Sitting in the tree stand, just be able to have a conversation and kind of reflect on the last year, and just spend some time with God out in the peace and wilderness. It's just really relaxing. Good recharge.
You're having sheets of ice on you and you feel like you're gonna get hypothermia, you're still like, it's a lot better than work. No.
This too shall pass.
Nah, here at work, it's definitely a commitment. Be still friendly to each other with how much we spend time, but also it's like, also at work, it's not a toxic environment because of deer camp or like because of outside things. Like when we go up to deer camp, we're like unplugging ourselves from work, social media, anything like that. Like we're just up there to have fun.
Yeah.
And to get some deerky.
Right. So we're getting close to wrapping up here. Just kind of a final tack on that. You know, I know there's plenty of folks, followers, viewers that watch our videos that maybe you don't believe the same from a faith standpoint. And our intent is not to try and shove any of this down anybody's throat. But one thing you will find about us is that we're very real people. We're certainly not going to hide our faith because it's plays such a significant role in our lives, and we have to give so much credit to that. So we're not going to downplay it. We're not going to shove it down anybody's throat. But it certainly is a passion of ours, and so you will continue to see that tone to future videos. Just being real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wouldn't be. That's like another thing about Camp Benny is we are very authentic and we try to keep it as raw as possible because, like, the hunting like episodes you see on TV, like that's cool and all, but it's like not trying to come at it. It's very edited, and we like to just like bring like the reality of it. Like we're hunting on a farm, we're actually like out there, which there's nothing wrong with farm hunting. Like there's benefits to that, but we're just like we try to make it a priority, make it authentic and as authentic as possible.
Right. Like when Nick overslept this season, we could have just edited that out when he made us late for going up to camp when he showed up really late. But, you know, we wanted to keep it real,
Yeah.
you know.
Even though it's
We
like
didn't want to hide anything, you know.
Thank you.
yeah, we're just trying to keep it authentic, you know. Like we could have just said like nothing about like the ammunition or how he forgot his rifle or anything like that. But
I think we did mention that actually.
Oh, yeah.
we did. Yeah. I was trying to downplay it a little bit.
Noted. Oh. Well, awesome. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this segment as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. We're be more than happy to do more. We'll see what the interest is here. It must get rather boring just watching four guys talk to a camera. So I'll see what I can do to make it as interesting as possible.
Put some music with it, hip hop music.
Right, right. All right. Well, it's time for us to get back to work. Yep. Thank you guys for your time.
Roasting session's over.
And we gone.
And we're out. Super excited.
Do some dance moves so you can dub some music in afterwards.
I'm surprised I haven't had a single person yet ask, why do you guys keep saying super excited?
They get it.
Most of them actually have seen the episode.
They get it. Nick, you're like, I'm getting out of here this roasting session.
No, you guys didn't get too deep into it.
Thanks for making us famous, Ben.
Hey, sure.
Yeah, thanks, Dad.
Making hunting great again.